More Mushoku Tensei, and a surprise for you all, I don't have a rant or anything to talk about at length before we get into this episode. So that's always a great thing, right? There's finally not something that I need to get off the chest before we end up starting. We worked together, got Nana Hoshi out her slump, she got her back on track and gave her some hope as to where she can go in life, which is pretty cool. Now Aisha and Norn are here, so that's awesome. Ryuju's here, that's awesome. Very excited. I don't know what any of that means or what's to come, but that's pretty cool. We know Norn has some problems with Aisha. We know Norn has some problems with basically everybody. Why that's the case? Is it just her being, bratty child, or is it some other things have happened that we're not aware of, and her journeying with Paul prior to us meeting up with Rudy and seeing him for the first time, and prior to reconnecting her with Aisha and everybody, that caused a disconnect of her associating with other people outside of probably her dad. There's a possibility. If that is the case, we are in a good spot because we have people like Sylphie and we have people like Ryujud who have kind of gone through some hardships of other things. Sylphie having to deal with being a elf in the color of her hair and all that stuff that she had when she was younger, of course, and then having to be just dropped in the middle of nowhere with absolutely nobody in her situation, and Ryujud in his situation of always being discriminated against for who he is, and having to ultimately have to kind of live with that, changing appearance and everything as a result too of what we've kind of seen. So if it is something that anybody like them can help with, I think this would be pretty cool. If it's literally just her growing up and we got to kind of get her to be more accepting of people, I have no clue. We'll figure it out from there. But we'll see. I'm assuming they might try and make it like something that Rudy can help with, but like, I don't know, nothing's coming to mind that like he excels at that he'd be good to work with, but I guess we would have to because we're trying to bring them closer together would probably be the goal here, because of her disliking for him. So I don't know, but we'll see. Family life with that. This gives Sylphie and Rudy a chance to work with some kids and stuff prior to having one on their own, despite Sylphie saying that she's not going to be able to have her own. We'll see with that, I guess. We have suspicions and everything. If you like it all, hit like and subscribe. You mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Let me comments with this episode or series. Let's get going with episode 16. How long is that actually about? I don't know. I'm not even going to think about it. A couple years at least, though. Of course, that's what he would do. Yeah. Like intentionally or accidentally? Ginger. Who's Ginger? Should I know Ginger? Do I not know Ginger? I don't know. I expected that. She was the one who warned you. Yeah. Oh, the thing we didn't want to talk about. She kind of just abandoned. Yeah, no. She needed to find herself, But at the same time, maybe her leaving was the thing that saved you, by giving you this opportunity. Why are you leaving us? I guess they're here, right? Nah, stay. That's true. Which has made it all the more easy for her to stop and leave without saying anything. That's cool, but he should get it on his own. What is happening? Oh, the boy. Tense conflict. You're just gonna walk away? All right. Oh.
二人ともラプラス戦役時代から生きているし、当時はいろいろと因縁もあったのだろう。
心配するな。奴と争うつもり
At least here, right?
しかし、まさかこんなところに奴がいるとはな。では、俺はそろそろ行く。
ルイジェルドさん、朝食食
Mm.
べていってください。
At least let us send you off. Not just up and leave everyone, you know? This is how you trap them. You give them some good food, some good company. You're like, no, hold on, there's more.
では、元気でな。
ルイジェルドさんもお元気で。妹たちの
See you on the other side,
本当にあり
brother.
がとうございました。
ルイジェルドさん、お世話になりました。
アイシャ、あまりルーデウスに無茶を言うんじゃないぞ。安心しろ。また会える。
私も一緒に行きたいです。
Don't leave me with this guy.
これからは俺ではなく、
Mm.
ルーデウスを頼れ。
You can rely on him.
あいつはお父さんを。それに前に見た時と隣にいる女の人が違うし、やっぱり信じられない。
Ooh.
そういうこともある。決してお前の兄が不誠実というわけでは。
Yeah, he prays to something every day with an object that he's had for years, you know?
はい、シルフィエットです。
シルフィエット。ルーデウスと共に二人を頼む。
はい。
These are your children.
ではな、また会おう。
Okay, so there's two people in this world that Norn likes. Also, she just does not like Rudy, which we kind of already know.
こうやって一緒に暮らすのは初めてみたいなもんだし、仲良くやろう。
はい。でもシルフィーネと結婚してるなん
That wasn't on the card.
たら渡すように言われていたものがあったんだ。はい、どうぞ。
A big box. What the fuck?
二人を学校に通わせなさいって。
Magic school, or is there a different
学校で
school?
習うことなんてないよ。お兄ちゃんのお世話がしたい。前に約束したじゃん。ほら、あの時のだっていつも思ってるんだよ。
That's sweet.
じゃあせめて魔法大学の試験を受けてみてくれ。その結果で判断しよ
お兄ちゃんが話してるでしょ。でも私試験落ちるかもしれないし。
う。それは心配しないでいい。あの学校はお金があれば誰でも入学できる
Well,
から
but it doesn't matter.
そこまでして学校行きたくない。
I don't want to get in for reasons like that.
別にお金で無理やり入学させてもらおうってわけじゃなくて。
ちょっとノルンね、お兄ちゃんに何
I
とか
should
聞いてんのさ。
settle
聞
down.
いたでしょ。お金で何とかしようなんて。ノルン姉が勉強できないのが悪いんでしょ。受ければいいんでしょ。ノルン姉、まだ話終わってないよ。うるさい。
アイシャ、
何？
ノルンに対して勉強できないとか
Yeah.
見下すようなことを言うのはやめなさい。
You're not above her.
ノルン姉頑張っ
There's reasons for that. And it doesn't matter.
ノルンはノルンなりに頑張ってるんだよ。
Oh, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that a lot.
お
Yes.
兄ちゃんがそう言うなら気をつけ。
Some people are just better than others are, no matter how much effort they put in, you know?
家のことはちょっとおろそかになってるから、アイシャちゃんが手伝ってくれるって言うなら僕としては嬉しいかな。きっと学校に行っても行かなくても彼女はうまくやると思うよ。
ほう。
だからあれこれ考えずやりたいことをやらせてあげるのがいいと思う。
But at least give the opportunity, you know?
パウロさんやルイジェルドさんと離れて不安そうにしてるみたいだし、僕らがちゃんと面倒を見てあげないとね。
そうだな。
なんかシルフィーが頼もしいな。まるでフィッツ先輩のようだ。あ、いや、フィッツ先輩なのか。
まさか満点と。
これなら学校に通わなくてもいいよね。
I
試験の
guess.
結果で考えるってお兄ちゃん言ったもんね。
ノルンの方はというと、今一つの成績だった。
Figure out what she wants to
年
do.
齢的平均をやや下回るぐらいで悪くはないらしい。
ノルンはどこの学科に入りたい？
私寮で暮らしてみたい。
Hmm.
ダメだよ。お父さんはお兄ちゃんと一緒に暮らせって言ってた
No,
の。
hold on. Aisha, shut the fuck up.
ダメだと
Just
突っ
keep
ぱねるのは
yelling.
簡単だ。だが、ノルンが勇気を出して言ってくれた。
Right. And she looked you in the fucking eyes when she said it. Something she never does.
少し距離を置いてみるのもいいか。
Mm-hmm.
わかった。じゃあ ノルン
That was a quick decision. I would have asked some more questions, but all right.
わがまま聞くの？
You got your way too.
取ったのに乗るねえだけずるい。
アイシャ、別にわがままを聞いたわけじゃないんだ。寮で友達ができるかもしれないし、ノルンにとってもその方が。
乗るねえをひいきするのは私のお母さんが目
Oh
か
my
けだから。
god.
私が半分お兄ちゃんと血がつながっていないからノルンをひいきするんで
That's
すか？
fucking insane.
俺はリーリャさんをめかけたなんて思ってないし、お前とノルンは両方とも同じ妹だと思っている。言葉で言ってもわからないかもしれないが、二人のためを思って判断したつもりだ。寮には寮のルールがあるので従うこと、勉強を頑張ること、友達を大切にすること。これが守れないならこの家から通ってもらいます。起きた時と寝る前にきちんと歯を磨くよう
All
に、
right, Dad, settle down.
お風呂にも入るように、宿題もやるように、風邪をひかないように。
Well, that's not really a choice.
最後に最低でも10日に一度はこの家に顔を出しなさい。
Let's check in.
なんでですか？
心配だから。
Norn's journey to school.
ノルン、
Oh, just leave her alone.
次の授業楽しみだね。
Hmm.
先生誰なんだろ
ノルンが魔法大学に入ってから1ヶ月。
Jesus. A full
彼
month?
女は友達の一人も作っていないようで心配だ。
Hmm.
う？そんなボスにあちらがプレゼントを用意したにゃ。用意するのに1ヶ月もかかったの。
何ですかこれ。
おっと、中を見るのは家に帰ってからにゃ。誰
も
見つからないところで。
中は柔らかいようだが、ネズミとかじゃないよな。
何をやっているんだ？
Bear's gonna get spooked and drop it in front of someone that he's shit.
ちょっと生徒会室まで来てくれないか？
わかりました。お疲れ様です。何か問題が起こりましたか？
実はここ最近女子寮の新入生の顔色が優れないのです。
ほう。
調査してみたところ、胸が小さく顔の造形のいい子ばかりが悩んでいるようでした。
もしかしてノルンも巻き込まれているのか？
Whoa.
俺にできることなら任せてください。
本日そのうちの一人に詳しく聞いてみたところ、リニアとプルセナにその場で下着を脱ぐように教育されたということです。
That's what I was guessing was the case in the bag, and then that would be Sylphie's reaction when you walked in with it, right?
してみると、あの二人は
Yeah.
これでボスが喜ぶなどと話していたそうです。
Yeah.
その際に手に入れた下着を一つのカバンに入れていたということですが。
Stupid.
プルセナより今朝方いただいたものです。中身は見てませんが、そういうことなら中は例のものでしょう。
そうですか。一応確認ですが、あなたが命じてやらせていたことですか？
No, no, no.
ルーデン様は無関係であると。
無論です。
I'm just carrying
こした
it.
ばかりでどうしてそんな不満が出ましょう。
Please believe me.
わかりました。信じましょう。
Nice.
ありがとうございます。
よかったよ。てっきり僕が満足させてあげられてないのかと。いえ、私もおかしいと思っていました。シルフィーとあれだけ激しい夜を過ごしているというのに、他の女になど。
シルフィ、王女様に話しているんですか？
違う、そんなこと話してないよ。いいえ、釜をかけ。
That's why she got so like afraid when she looked at them or embarrassed.
ノル、
Mm-hmm.
どうしたんだ？もうすぐ授業が始まるぞ。
はじめまして。この学校の生徒会長を務めておりますアリエルと申します。どうしました？
第三実習室かどこかわから
We
なく
can
て。
help. We can
そうです
help.
か。ルーク、案内してあげなさい。
まったく、お前たちのせいで濡れ衣を着せられるところだった。
Fucking
ごめん
idiots.
にゃ。悪気はなかったの。
Yeah, we know you didn't, but you're fucking stupid. Like, what animal are you?
ボス
I
が
couldn't
絶対
tell.
喜ぶからって。にゃん第一年。
Oh,
生意気な言ってんだよ。なになに。
settle the
ど
fuck
っちが
down.
上か分からせてやるの。
言っておきますが、あの子は僕の妹です。
まああれぐらいでやる方がいいにゃ。すごく可愛らしい子なの。
The worst.
無条件で仲良くできるわけじゃない。
Mm-hmm.
まあゆっくり仲良くなればいい。
Empty seat. Ah, yes, and we can finally watch the ED. It's only been so many episodes. All the people that come into your life as you grow, leading you to where you are today. They look so much older in the ED than they do in the actual, like, as it's playing the series. Like, I don't know what it is. Their style of them looks way different for some reason. The sisters are here, and they are here to basically propose an extremely difficult task for Rudy to get into. Probably the second most difficult thing that we've had to see him do, outside of him, you know, curing his ED and everything. While he's been through a lot of difficult things, you know, it's going to be a journey for him learning how to connect with people that you know, clearly want nothing to do with them, but he's got this. I mean, that's kind of how these stories typically play out, right? He'll figure this out. She'll come around to him at some point. And if he wants to have any future at some point, and he wants to have kids of his own and go through all of this, it's good preparation for him to really get into here. So it all works itself out. Actually, Norn are entirely different people. I mean, that's basically what you'd expect to get out of this. One of them in Norn being extremely withdrawn in comparison to somebody like Aisha, who is very confident and comfortable with who she is, what she's capable of, what her goals and things that she wants to kind of do and accomplish are, and she's good with people. Whereas Norn, like I said, very withdrawn from all of that, relies extremely heavily on certain figures that have kind of been within her life, being Paul or Rujerd at some point. These are people that she can latch onto, that she can trust, and she kind of just wants to follow and be with them at all times. We see her kind of screaming out and wanting to stay with him as he's leaving this episode too. Also mixed with the fact that she does not like Rudy due to the previous encounter that they ended up having, and does not like the thought of him, and a whole bunch of other things that she brings to light at some point, and she confronts him about, which are all valid things for her to really bring up. Well, they're not necessarily the greatest thing. I mean, they're not wrong, any of the points that she ended up making. This is a really interesting challenge too, or good thing, I would say, for Rudy to have, coming from, you know, previous life of poor relationship with family, poor relationship with siblings and things that he had, going into a situation here where he wants to probably be the, you know, best brother that he can to them, but not really knowing how to operate and do everything is definitely challenging. But him and Sylphie together are definitely up for the task, and I think that this is good for him because we get to see somebody like Norn, who is extremely withdrawn already and is trying to retreat even more. I mean, walking around the school, dealing with potential bullying and things that are happening already here, also dealing with seeing Rudy constantly being surrounded by different people, extremely popular. I mean, he's literally hanging out with the president and all this, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of things for her to see and be like, damn, this person I hate, who I have like all these problems with and everything, like, is out here living up like this, and I can't bring myself to do any of those. And then sometimes that triggers a response where some people want to try extremely hard and try and push themselves to get to a point, and some people, in likely Norn's situation here, retreats and you know, goes back more into her shell here and kind of just wants to isolate herself even more. We get to see with the ending sequence of her not being in class and her just kind of staying inside of her bed and hiding, not wanting to be around anybody. Another big thing, I mean, she literally left Rudy's presence. She left the home and made this decision that she wanted to go to the dorm because she figured distancing herself from this person was going to make things so much better, when in reality you're just distancing yourself from any sort of connection and thing that you have. You're somebody who does struggle to put yourself out there and make these friends. Now you're putting yourself in a situation where you have to do that, and you're completely incapable of doing so. Once again, another situation that works for some people. If they put themselves in a spot like that, they almost force themselves to be a bit more expressive and outgoing. But she definitely is one of those who can't do that. And she, unfortunately, is kind of just falling deeper and deeper. So to tie all this back up, it's a good task for Rudy to kind of have here, seeing somebody who can retreat, similar to we've seen him before, the long journey that he had to go on prior to reconnecting here with Sylphie and coming to school, and seeing all the opportunities and things that school actually gave him, and also seeing somebody or something similar to what he had in his past, and who he was, in kind of going back into his own shell like that too, and he can try and help her out a little bit. While he doesn't know clearly the best path of doing so, I mean, due to his struggles that he's had while he's been in these situations, but every single time it's been reliant on other people that he's been able to gain around him to help him. So whether that's just praying somebody comes along and helps her, which I don't believe is going to be the case, or setting something up so somebody does go and help her, or having that person that she feels that she can kind of reach out to, he should probably try and be that person that she can reach out to and feel comfortable around and be with and rely on in these situations to kind of pull her out of that darkness, right? But not so much to the point that she becomes extremely reliant on him like he's Paul or like he's Ryujin, but to be somebody who is just helping her get that first step, right? Get her foot in the door for what she actually needs to start accomplishing and doing to expand her world a little bit more. School is once again one of those things that we've seen with the reception and everything that we had for the wedding. You get to see all these people that he never knew prior to, 10 episodes ago, and all of a sudden he meets them, and in this span of time that he's been here has changed his world and his life so much, and it's given him so much. And that's all the opportunity and people that are out there for her to actually meet, and for her to actually have too. And that would be a great thing if we can kind of open that up and hopefully get her to understand there's better things out there. I think one of the other most interesting things though to me was I think Rudy even said it. I think it was just his idea of putting down Aisha when she was yelling at Norn, or yelling about Norn not being like basically better than her at anything, just awful in comparison, and how much she tries constantly, like how hard she does to achieve and get to the point that she is. And then somebody like Norn can kind of get praised for not doing so much and just being average at that, and even below average as her test scores ended up coming back. And then Rudy's line of like, don't just like say that, right? Don't belittle other people and don't assume their intentions in these things about them. Don't put herself in that position. You don't know how hard she's been trying, right? You don't know the extent that she's doing. There's plenty of people like that. And I've talked about that many times in different series on here. But one of the best examples I can always think of is when it comes to something like sports. Right? There's plenty of people that I'm well aware of that I've known who have day in and day out played a certain sport constantly for hours on end and tried constantly to get better. And while over the years I've seen them improve and get better, I have other friends who are significantly better than them still at that thing that they don't nearly put as much time and effort, I would say, into. And it's just one of those, some people are naturally better at certain things than others. Some people are capable of certain things that others are not. Sometimes you need to put in significantly more effort than somebody else to be able to achieve things even higher than them, or even reach just what they're at, right? Sometimes your best is still not enough to get you to the point that somebody else is at. And that's a fucking awful thing, but that's the world, right? That's just what happens. That's how things are. And it is, like I said, really shitty, but what are you going to do about it? And once you kind of realize that and recognize that, and as long as you don't lose faith in the idea that, there's everything's pointless at that point, and if you can kind of hold your head high and just be like, all right, there's certain things kind of in my control, or that I have to understand and accept, you can allow yourself to feel a little bit more freed up with a lot of things and move forward in a more positive direction, whether it's because you're not as angry about that because you're just well aware this is the case, or, you shift towards something else entirely that maybe you are naturally a lot better at that you weren't as aware of before. But it's just unfortunately what happens. Conversation with Ryujin's fun, being able to see him once again, of course, and just figure out about his journey that he's had coming along the way. He said he met back up with Paul before they ended up coming here. I don't know if that's just he was, adventuring and then randomly ended up meeting up with him, or if he had intentions of going back and finding him and helping him with anything that he needed, and then he ended up sending him out on this other journey that he's on here. Of course, we have to ask about Eris, where Rudy has to explain, you know, the hardships and things that kind of came while being very vague about the whole situation. He talks about how Eris didn't save him and how, you know, it's not going to be easy, of course, if he ever has to like meet her and go through all of that, and she put him through like the hardest times of his life. But at the end of the day, we can look at it different ways, right? Eris didn't save you, Sylphie did, sure. But at the same time, if Eris had stuck around, would you have really changed in your own ways, right? Would you really have evolved as a person and grown? Maybe her actually moving on and moving the way that she did and just leaving was something that initiated that growth within you, was something that you needed, was an event that you needed to occur. Maybe those days were extremely hard, but due to those hard times that you were put in those situations, they led to the great days that you're in within, or that you're at now, right? There's different ways that you can kind of take it. He's not still viewing the situation as a positive one for the outcomes and the things that have come as a result of it. So that's not the greatest still, but it's all right. And I'm assuming one day he'll be able to fully understand that when he meets back up with her at some point and they end up having a conversation. As Ryujin constantly says, like, she might have not meant things, you know, the way that you thought that she meant them, and she's bad with her words and doing all this. I mean, it explains why she can up and leave instantly and makes it so much easier for her to do that. Also, if she tried to explain and express all this into words, it would come out in ways that would probably hurt you much more than you actually did get hurt, and you would be left almost wondering less than you are kind of now about the way that she means things. So Ryujin pushing as hard as he can to be like, listen, just, you're gonna be all right, the whole thing's gonna be all right, and I'm sure that she'll understand, or I'm sure that you'll understand if you guys ever had that chance to properly sit down and talk, which will likely happen at some point. This whole interaction, I don't know what to make of it. I'm just assuming it's because they're extremely old motherfuckers who have been around forever, and we're kind of at odds at some point, or have met each other through fighting and wars and things that have occurred in the past. So they're just well aware of the existence and presence of the other person. So I really don't know what more to make outside of Ryujin. Seems like pissed or like angry, having to come face to face with this person, but then they end up deciding not to fight. It's setting more things up, likely for us to understand at some later point, that I'm not fully grasping here. We bring him back inside, don't let him leave. We have to properly thank you. Just let's have a meal, let's have a goodbye. Everybody gets a chance to kind of say that they're very thankful for you. Of course, AISHA put him through a lot of shit on the way up. She's very, I wanted to say mature, but I wouldn't. She's mature in certain aspects, others definitely not. But she definitely is a step above NORN, which, I mean, makes sense in the way that she kind of presents herself and speaks. But also it seems like what she's capable of. She seems like a very clever and smart person, which is always great for us to end up seeing. So she's very happy about those. NORN latches onto Ryujin here, of course, doesn't want him to leave. So she's somebody similar to Paul, that he was able to get on our good side here and allow her to not want to be left at all in this situation. Her statements of like why she doesn't want to stay here and be with him are weird to me, because they all kind of feel like they contradict each other in certain ways, but maybe it's her absence of understanding. I don't know for certain. Talking about, well, he hit dad, you know, and then he's also with a different girl than I saw him with last time. How am I supposed to trust him at this point, right? It's like, I get it, because he attacked and harmed the person that you care for most. But then you use the argument of, oh, he was with another girl, you know, then I saw him with the other time and he can't be trusted and all this. It's like, well, the person that you look up to the most, your own fucking father, the thing standing next to you is, you know, proof of him not being faithful in himself and putting himself in situations that he's with other girls outside of who your own mom was. So why are we harassing your brother for the exact same thing, right? Like, it doesn't seem to add up. You know, how are we supposed to trust him? Why do you trust your father then? Like, what are you, is it because she's not well aware of the whole, you know, situation and what occurred that her dad kind of put her mom through and all that? Or is she well aware of that and choosing to forget that due to the other things that he's kind of been through and put her or helped her with, just kind of like protecting her and everything through all these years, so that she just like, I can trust him and he's a good person, as a result? Is that like where her mind's going? I don't know. Her logic just doesn't seem all there, but maybe I'm the one who's looking at it weird. We're all living together, we got to get along, and then we have a little conversation. Our Paul drops off a bunch of fucking wealth to us, which is pretty dope for us to see. They have to go to school. Aisha does not want to go to school in the slightest, which, I mean, I get it. This is her job, is to serve you. She made that very known years and years ago. So Rudy basically is like, all right, try as hard as you can, or do whatever you can on the test, and then depending on how you do, I'll decide if you need it or not. It's also nice that she keeps this, of course, since the previous meeting, how much that actually means to her. Norn doesn't want to actually try because she's just well aware that she's going to fail without putting in that effort. Rudy immediately being like, oh, we can just pay for it, is definitely fucking wrong to say, which at least he's well aware that's the case. It's nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants to just get free access into something that everybody else has to earn, and they get looked at as they're different, right? I don't want to be in because my brother's this, hot shot that everybody else knows. I don't want to get in because we're wealthy and we're able to do so. I want to get in on like my own doing, and if you're telling me that I don't have to worry about that or try or any of those things, there's a fucking problem with that, which is definitely true. Aisha gets angry here. Aisha's kind of annoying to me. I don't know. It's just her like belittling Norn constantly, her yelling always about everything. It seems, I don't know, she's just kind of annoying. I love that he shuts her down though, and he's like, don't fucking do that again. She's doing everything that she can. She's putting in the effort however that she can. We don't do that around here, which I definitely like. Norn scores perfectly, of course, or Aisha scores perfectly, of course. So she doesn't have to end up going. So she gets what she wants, right? She was given a task, she did exactly that, and she doesn't have to. So now at this point, Rudy's like, all right, let's find something that you can actually do, something that you want to try within school. What department do you want to go to? She's able to bring herself together that she can look him right in the eyes here, and find that resolve to ask this question, that courage that she needs to be like, I don't want to be here. I want to go live in the dorms, which would make sense, right? We talked about that already, where a lot of people sometimes need that to expand their circle, expand themselves, really find themselves, because it kind of isolates them a lot, and it allows her to be put into this situation that's probably would be a good thing for her. Also, it removes her from being around somebody like Aisha, who's kind of bullying her, and somebody like Rudy, who she doesn't like to begin with. So it works. Of course, she didn't take the proper actions once she got into school, and she just kind of remained who she actually is and was, and never really pushed herself to actually go out and find friends and expand that circle and maybe alter a little bit who she is. But this is a good, I think, first step for her to probably take. The thing that she's definitely missing is, those people close to you, your family at the end of the day, but those around you, these people can also just be looked at as friends if you want. Those are people who definitely want to try and help you and be there for you, and you can definitely rely on them, and you don't have to just push them away constantly and isolate yourself. And you definitely should rely on them, especially in those moments that you're going to need it the most. Aisha gets annoyed again, of course, because she's like, oh, you were told that you're not allowed to do this. And then Rudy's like, you know what? No, you can do this. And then she's like, well, why does she get her way? I do absolutely everything. I try so hard. I do great on everything, and you guys never give me what I want, and I always just kind of obey, which isn't even true. I mean, you literally did exactly what you had to do, and we gave you what you wanted, which was, your request of not going to school. So, I mean, I think I'm misunderstanding this whole sequence. Is it simply just an anger at, you didn't do good at something, you didn't put in that effort, you didn't do whatever, and you're getting rewarded, you're getting what you wanted as a result, but I tried my ass off and did all this and I'm not getting rewarded? Is it simply that's kind of bugging her? Because then she starts like pulling out some like random shit about how like I'm loved less because I'm not, we don't have the same mom, I'm loved less because of my situation with my mom and who I am, and I'm looked down upon because of that. Like she starts really pulling all that shit out, which is like, holy fuck, I was not expecting any of that. I wasn't expecting any of it either, which is insane that she would do so. But I think it simply comes to that, which I guess would make plenty of sense, right? Like, why are you rewarding this person for doing significantly less? Like, why are you giving them exactly what they want when I had to get 100 on this to kind of do that? Which makes sense. But at the same time, it's hard not looking at the situation the way that Rudy is, of the opportunities and the things that can kind of come out of her being put in this situation of being alone and giving her something like this. So I don't know. Also, he's in a tough spot of, I'm trying to figure out what my sister, what I should give her or do for her that allows her to like me more, right? Allows her to feel more comfortable being around me, allows her to feel more at ease. I mean, she just traveled halfway across the fucking globe, basically, right? Like, how do I like, I have to do something to make her a little bit more comfortable. And if giving her this space that she kind of wants, and this being alone and this new environment allows her, she feels a bit more safe like that, then I'll have to kind of let that happen. I don't know. Norn begins her first day at school. I like Rudy going through everything here, of course, being the dad in the situation here, telling her that she needs to come back home. He sees her many times at school. He does not want to reach out or anything. Give her that opportunity to do the things she wants. Don't like put her in a situation where eyes are going to be put on her because of you or the things that you do. But he is nervous and afraid, of course, her being alone. Every time that they talk about somebody being alone, there's always like a butterfly or an insect or something here that's flying alone. And then they always bring two together when like something else happens. So I'm assuming next episode or like a few episodes from now, whenever it happens, we'll probably get into her finding a little bit more of a circle and a thing that happens, and then we'll have like a fucking variety of them with it. But he's struggling because he feels awful, right? He let her go into the situation. Things aren't going well for her, and he doesn't want her to hate her time and any of this anymore. And then he might even feel like he's responsible because he sent her off to do this. Well, I mean, that is what she asked, but he agreed upon it and allowed her to now become even more lonely than she probably was before. So of course he feels terrible. We get a gift from these two who tell him, do not look in this at all. This makes sense now why Luke immediately is like, dude, I need to see you, and why Sylphie's reaction was unreal when she was able to see this. Those two basically bullied a bunch of little girls here, and this is that's awful. They throw one of these jokes in like at every fucking turn within the series, I feel like, but this one turned out pretty decent. Norn is lost, does not want to come forward and ask for help by anybody, so giving him this opportunity to have Luke escort and Ariel actually talk to her, I think worked pretty well. But of course he's very worried in this moment, right? She couldn't even open up and tell anything to him, be like, oh, I'm lost. And it's like, was she actually lost, or was she just saying that? Was she just trying to avoid actually showing up to class and just walking around in the process? Instead, there's plenty of things to be a little bit cautious of in that situation. We scold these two, of course, for being fucking stupid. I love that they start yelling at her for giving them the look, and then him being like, by the way, that's my sister, and immediately how much they change. And then we see the classroom completely empty, and we see all alone in her dorm room. A bit unfortunate. Finally got to watch the ED, which is pretty nice. Again, to see all the characters kind of together. I don't even remember what the song was. I don't think I paid attention. I was just looking at the visuals the entire time. Aisha and Norn definitely look way more aged, though, in the ED as opposed to we actually see them in the series, which, I don't know. I like the style a little bit more, I think, than what they had so far for us this episode. Also, weirdly, Rudy looked a lot more aged this episode than I think we've usually seen him. Like, he looked a lot more taller, and maybe it's because they were trying to make you understand like how small these other girls and stuff are in comparison now. But he definitely felt older, which I really haven't gotten that visual feeling of so far until this episode. Overall, pretty cool. Feels like just a lot of setup though for what's to come. And what they are planning on hitting us with probably next episode, if not a couple episodes from now. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you liked it all, hit the like and subscribe to me on to me. Feel free to check out the videos and channel. Get on to this episode of our series. I will be back for episode 17 very soon. You guys have a great one. Peace.